Good morning, everyone. I am Kiana Frown, your forgiveness expert. To some of you, you may call me Coach Kiana. To some of you, you may call me, hey, it's Kiana, my pet groomer. Well, however, I'm here this morning on this beautiful, glorious, wonderful #Forgiveness Friday. So you know what? I've been celebrating Forgiveness Friday for many, many years if you've been following my journey. And I just want to say good morning to you all. And I am so grateful and humbled that you decided to start the morning with me. Some of you probably already started, but this is just another tool to help get you on your way as you are celebrating getting through another week and you're heading into your weekend. So right now, I want to just thank you all for tuning into the Healing Incubator podcast. If this is your first time here, let me let you know. This podcast is all about the truth, forgiveness, and healing. I've learned over the years that yes, we can want to forgive, but we have to realize that there are some components before and after the power of forgiveness. So first, we have to realize that you got to walk and step in your truth before you can forgive. And that's acknowledging whatever the circumstance or the situation is in your life that you need to remove to get into that space of forgiveness. And then understanding that forgiveness is a daily decision as something that you decide to do every single day. You do this in your mind that one day, hopefully, your heart is going to align with the thoughts that you have in your head. And then after that process, what happens is you begin to heal over time. Now, healing is a journey that we will go through the duration of our lives. So I just want to give a shout out to all of the people who are watching via Facebook. We're streaming probably on 3 different places in Facebook land. Those of you who are watching through LinkedIn, we want to welcome you. We want to thank you for being here. And also those of you who are tuning in from YouTube, you're watching via the YouTube page. So guys, there are so many people. I think there's like 6 different streams that we're having going on right now. But however, I am grateful that you are here. And so if you are ready to jump into this healing thing, I want you to go ahead and type in the feed #I'm ready to heal. And then also let us know where you're tuning in from, where you're listening in from. And I don't want to forget about the listeners who are catching this on the podcast that will be reshared this coming Monday on the Healing Incubator podcast. So we love you too if you're out there just listening, and we wanted to let you know that we are not forgetting about you, and we are most definitely not forgetting about those who are tuning in after the fact. You're watching this, it might be later on today, it might be sometime during the weekend, who knows, it might be a month later from today, but we want to know that you're here with us, and we want you to go ahead and type in #I'm a replayer, #replayer. So we want to welcome you too as well. And this month, pretty much this month, we've been dealing with the first question that we asked in week 1 was, am I loving myself? That's the question that we often have to ask ourselves, or that I ask myself, am I loving myself in this area? Is this an area that I am operating in my full potential? Am I a superhero in this area? And sometimes I realize that I'm not loving myself in an area. And so the assignment that we gave out that particular week was for us to just sit and get quiet, to really think about where we are in our life, where we are in situations. Are we loving ourselves in those areas? And then last week we talked about, after we done sat down and we listened to ourselves and we were able to ask ourselves that question, am I loving myself? Well, we came to a conclusion and an answer, but then when we did that, there were some voices that were in our heads. Our voices, our internal dialogue had become louder than we needed it to be, and it was not positive. One of the things that I said last week was sometimes there'll be people on the outside of us that are quick to say something, use quips to remark towards us, talking in a way that we're just not having it, and the first thing that we do is we shut them all the way down sometimes, but we're not shutting our internal dialogue down. We're not cutting off that loud voice in our head that's telling us, hey, you're not good enough. Hey, you're not doing your best, and you'll never do your best. And so that's the thing, that we have to get into the area of the truth, that we're the ones who are sometimes bringing our own selves down, so that we can forgive ourselves, so that we can heal in that area. So as we were talking about hearing those voices in our head, the next step, or the homework assignment that I wanted you all to do, was to do the hard thing. What was the hard thing that you had to continuously do to make sure that you would not be stuck into that place where you are hearing those voices in your head, where you are not completing tasks, where you're not showing yourself love in all different areas of your life? Now, so we've got that out of the way. I want to make sure that you guys are sharing this message. I want to make sure that you're letting your friends tap into ask themselves the question, am I loving myself? And then realizing that they do have this internal dialogue, the voices in their head. So make sure you go ahead and share this in someone's messenger. If someone you know that really, really needs to hear a word this morning, share that with them, share it on your page. However, let's just get this broadcast out so that we can share with the nation, right? Remember, I'm Kiana F. Brown, your forgiveness expert, and my goal is to not just be an expert by myself, but to help other people so that they can be an expert at forgiveness in their lives as well, right? So let's get into this week's topic. This week's topic, we want to talk about loving ourselves while we're in relationships with others. You know, a lot of times when we're in relationship, we think about the love that we give to someone else first, right? We think about how we can make this relationship last. How we, what can we do? What can I do to make my mate happy? What can I do to make my mom, my brother, those people that are in my life happy? And we always look at relationship as an external action, but it needs to be something that's done internally. We need to look at how we are going to love someone. We need to look at how we're going to be loved, and we need to set those limits and set those boundaries so that we can operate in a safe space of having healthy relationships with others, which means that we're able to love ourselves in the relationship. Now, let me ask you this question. How many of us have been in relationships with someone else and we have done like over the limit? We have done so much stuff to say, hey, I love you. Right? Hey, I want you to be in my life. And sometimes we are depleting ourselves of energy. We're depleting ourselves of time. We're depleting ourselves of focus because we want to show someone just how much we love them. We want to show them just how much we love them. And we have to get into the space of understanding that the way that we should, and I think we talked about this in the first show a little bit, we hit on it, the way that we love ourselves is how we show people how to love us in relationships. And so, there are many type of relationships that we have in our lives. It can be a parental, intimate relationship, someone that, you're intimately seeking. It can be a friendship. And those are just a few different type of relationships that you have. Now, we want to talk about how you love yourself in relationships, and that is simply setting the tone for what you will accept and what you will not accept. Let me repeat that again. Loving yourself in a relationship is setting the tone for what you will accept and what you won't accept. And pretty much it all boils down to boundaries. It all boils down to boundaries. Now, before I get into this any deeper, let me look and see if people are commenting. We just want to thank you all for tuning in. I see a couple of people steadily here, and so I thank you for that. But don't be afraid to comment. Don't be afraid to join the journey of healing, because remember, right there at the top of the screen, you see it says hashtag I'm ready to heal. Now, some of you may be on my IG page, and I believe I shared it on my Facebook page. There was an opportunity that I had to speak with my brother. And a lot of times in sibling relationships, it can get really sticky and serious in the area of loving one another, especially forgiving. People put all of these unrealistic expectations on one another. They take the word family to a whole nother level. And honestly, sometimes the people that are really walking in that family role are sometimes not even the people that are blood related to you. But that's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother day and a whole nother show. So let's get back to the conversation that my brother and I had. We worked together for quite some time. And over this time, and I'm sharing this, you guys, I'm not just spilling the tea. This is something that's already been out there. And we've talked about this, and he's okay with me sharing this testimony. And we worked together, and there was a lot of me and kind of being a blocker to his growth, right? I was blocking his growth because I wanted to continue to coddle him. I wanted to continue to say, I got your back and I'm pushing you forward. But I was doing it at the cost of my sanity. I was doing it at the cost of my peace. And there were some things that he was doing in an environment while we worked together that were just totally not conducive for that environment. They were not things that I wanted as a standard in my business. They were not things that I wanted or expected from my brother. You would think, we're family, you're in the business, you're helping me out, and you're supposed to treat this business just like it's yours and not just a place that you just run rampant in. And so, needless to say, it took me about, I want to say, maybe 3 years to finally say enough is enough, right? And so we're talking about how to love ourselves while we're in relationships with others. And the number one thing that I had to realize is that I could no longer allow for myself to be in this situation with him because I am not loving myself. Meaning, when I'm not loving myself, I'm causing myself grief, I'm causing myself heartache, I'm causing myself headache, I'm causing myself all these type of things because I want to be there for this person, which for me is my way of showing them that I love them. I'm going to support you. I'm going to help you in every area possible that I can. But sometimes we have to understand that love is not always about giving. Sometimes love is about taking, right? Taking back. And so in order to efficiently love myself, I had to take my space back. I had to control my environment, which means I had to control my energy, the things that were around me. And even though he's my brother and I love him and I've never stopped loving him, I had to control that peace within that area. And so I had to let him go. Now, let me tell you, that was the hardest thing one of the hardest things that I've had to do was to fire my brother. Like, who fires their brother? Sometimes a lot of people say that, oh, you can't work together. You can't, family shouldn't do this and family shouldn't do that. But I wanted to be in a season where we were helping one another and we were growing together. But however, that did not work in that situation. And so there was some time, that separated us, and, there was some anger there. And there was also with inside of me sometimes where I was like teeter-tottering, back and forth with like, do I take him back? I don't want to see him this way. I don't want to see him without a job. I don't want to see this. But I had to get to the point that Kiana, he is a grown adult. And he has to fend for himself. You cannot save him. And so I decided to love me a little bit more by relieving myself of that daily stress that would happen, when we came into the environment together. And, it was not easy. I had to have continuous prayer, pray to God to ask him to please protect him, to help him, give him the things that he needs so that he can succeed in life. And so there was really no love lost, but I had to put that boundary there. I had to put that space there. And just a quick testimony of that, as a result of that, my brother, I gave him another chance. I saw where he had grown. I saw where he had matured. I saw where he was #I'm ready to heal. And we said, hey, we're going to try this again. But in trying that again, the love that I had to set for myself was that boundary, that if we go into this space again, that here's the caveat. If I see any activity of the past that tries to creep up, then guess what? We're going to be done. I'm not going back down this road again with you. You know, you're going to have to find something else. You dealt well with not having a job with me for quite some time. I'm pretty sure that you can do it again, but I had to protect my peace. I had to protect my energy. I had to control the energy that was in my environment. But I can tell you that today we're doing good. I can tell you that today he's stronger than ever in that area of working. I can tell you he's not the person he was. And it took that time. It took that space for him to grow and for me to be able to love myself in this situation instead of wanting to continuously love him and deplete myself of my energy, deplete myself of a good conscience, deplete myself of many things that I needed to grow in, areas that I needed to have peace in. And so I just want to encourage someone today that if you're in a relationship, that you need to realize that you need to have a little bit more love for yourself. And if you have to separate, it's okay. I've done it. You know, it's not the easiest thing to do. It's the hardest thing sometimes, especially if that person is really close to you and you really love them and you want the best for them. But sometimes the best for them is simply saying no. Now, the other day, my husband and I, we were driving down this street, and I saw all of these new signs that they were putting up on the street, but they had these trash bags over top of them. And I was like, what signs are they putting up? I mean, they were like every so maybe 20 feet or something like that. And I said, why are they putting all these signs up? And then they have the trash bags. And of course, he's in construction. He said, well, they're probably not ready to display them yet, or something is about to come. Something is about to happen where these signs are going to have direction for some type of new traffic pattern or something that's going on in the community. So I just so happened to ride past one, and I saw that it said speed bump. And I was like, speed bump? You know, this is a street I like, you know, I go down, it's my little side street, it's my cut street to get to where I want to go. And so now I'm realizing that this street is about to have some speed bumps where I'm gonna have to slow down. You know, some of y'all know I'm a Mustang girl, Mustang Sally, and so, you know, not that I'm balling through the streets. Let me correct that. I'm not like balling through the streets, because it is a community overall. But however, you know, sometimes speed bumps can be a nuisance when you're used to just the flow of traffic. Now, why am I talking to you about this? Because sometimes we have to look at the road of life with speed bumps. And when we look at the road of life in relationships, that speed bump is a no. That speed bump is a I can't do what you want me to do at this time, because you have to protect your energy. You have to protect your heart. You have to protect your space. And so when you tell that person no, it is literally like when you're driving on a straight road that is smooth paved. Now all of a sudden there's a speed bump. There's something in your way that's stopping you from getting what you want, or being in an environment that you're used to always just having a smooth sailing of what you want. And I want to let you know today that those speed bumps are you protecting the love that you have for yourself. So you have to learn how to say no. You have to learn how to cut back in some areas. You have to learn how to separate yourself, because if you do not, you will deplete the love that you need and the energy that you need for yourself in order to thrive. And so that's the area that I want us to talk about today. If we are going down that road and we are realizing that there are some speed bumps that we need to put up in our lives. You know, maybe you're so used to saying yes to someone and you don't know how to say no. You need to put that speed bump up. You need to let them know that, hey, I can love you, but I can't love you by doing this action. I can love you, but I can't love you by continuously going here. I can love you, but I cannot overextend myself in this area. Now, love is like a road, right? Love is like that straight road. But also when you add those speed bumps in it, that's love for yourself as well. Now, the other person, they can easily, choose to go down another road. They can say, hey, I don't want to accept your no, and they can go the opposite way. Now, what have you done there? You have protected yourself from any further heartache, any further pain that you could encounter as you're going through this relationship with this particular person. Now, hey, if they decide that they want to go down a different road, maybe they weren't meant to be in relationship with you. Now, however, if this person really loves you and this person really cares for you, guess what they'll do? The same thing that I do when I'm going down the road in my Mustang trying to avoid the damage that a speed bump can cause. I will slow down and I will slowly go over that speed bump so that I can make it to my destination without any damage. So it's okay. In relationships, you have to learn to say no, and that person on the other end has to learn how to slowly get over that no so that you all can proceed down the road of life in your relationship. And that is how you show love to yourself in that relationship. You're showing love because you're able to put up that boundary. You're able to put up that line that says, I'm not going to cross this because I know what I need for myself in order to thrive and to live a healthy and successful life. Now, let's look at the scripture, Ephesians 4:2. Ephesians 4:2. It says, with all humility, gentleness, with patience, bearing with one another in love. I'm going to read it again for your hearing. Ephesians 4:2. With all humility and gentleness, with patience, bearing with one another in love. And so when you put that speed bump up in the road of life as you're in this relationship to be able to continuously have love for yourself, the one thing that you want to do is you want to put that speed bump up gently. As the scripture says, you want to have humility with your speed bump. You want to be patient with your speed bump, but you also want to continue to love one another, right? And so what do I mean? So just because you're saying no to that person, you don't have to say no to that person in a negative tone. You don't have to say no to that person abruptly. Now, what does patience mean with saying no? You have to learn how to be patient in that area to say no. So a quick example, if someone comes to you and asks you to do something and you really may not want to do it and you're not sure if you can do it or not because you don't know how that's going to take from you, what you have to then say to them is, you know what? I'm not sure if I can do that. I'm not sure if this is going to be possible. Let me think about it and I'll get back to you. And so when you're doing that, you're being not just patient with them, you're being patient with yourself in a decision that you have to make. Because I know myself, I have been so quick to say, yes, 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 yes. And then at the end of the day, like, I can't do that. And so I'm taking love from myself because now I'm overextending myself. Not because I didn't really want to do it, because I did want to do it, but there's also a menagerie of things that are already on my plate that's just too much. And then it depletes me to where my energy is not being controlled and I'm going crazy and I'm everywhere, right? So just taking that in mind, that you have to be patient in that area. Now, I just want to leave something with you this week, right? We've already done a couple of really quick and easy assignments. Well, I'm not going to say quick, but some assignments that are not like really daunting you. They're like so time aggressive with you. So the first week we got quiet. We got quiet and we listened to the question, am I really loving myself? The second week we realized how we were not loving ourselves in those areas. And so we decided to do the hard thing. We decided to do what was going to be hard for us to do so that we could start to develop more of a love for ourselves. Now, this week's assignment, I want you to respect your uniqueness, to honor your specialness. No one has the gift that you have. No one has your potential. And so in this space, we talked about how we're able to say no. Respect your uniqueness. Respect yourself by being able to say no, by being able to put that boundary up, by being able to stay in the position of healing, to stay in the position of having peace in your life, to stay in the position of controlling your energy. So as we go out this week, we're going to realize that if there's some areas that we need to say no in to continue to love ourselves, that we're going to respect ourselves in that area. We're not going to be disrespectful to ourselves. We're going to say, hey, Kiana, this is where you need to heal at. Hey, Tamika, this is where you need to stay at. Hey, Terry, these are the things that we're going to do so that we can continue to grow in the area of healing. We're going to learn how to respect our uniqueness, right? Just because other people are saying yes and other people are doing things, that doesn't mean that you have to do it. You can be unique in that area. I want to thank you all for tuning in to the Healing Incubator podcast. We don't keep you long. We just give you a quick message, something for you to think about, to chew on, so that you can take with you through the next week. We just want to thank you for sharing the podcast. And also, there was a podcast. I'm not sure if it's a podcast or just a Facebook morning show. It's called Wake Up with the Word with Pastor George, and he shared something amazing on forgiveness this morning. So if you can, if you're on the Forgiveness Nation group on Facebook, or if you're not, go to Forgiveness Nation group. I've shared it, or you can just look up Wake Up with the Word. I want to thank Pastor George this morning for sharing that word on forgiveness. It was very, very powerful and well needed. Of course, that's what we talk about here all the time. And that's what we're talking about this morning as well. We are learning to love ourselves in relationships with others. And that stems from a place of getting to your truth, forgiving, so that you can heal in those areas, so that you can be your best in the relationships that you have with people in the world. And most importantly, the relationship that you have with yourself. Self-care is very important. It's something that we all need to do daily. We need to learn how to respect ourselves, meaning that we're going to respect our uniqueness. And so that's our assignment for this week, is to learn how to respect our uniqueness. Don't forget to tune in next week, because we're still diving into the topic of how to love myself, loving me. What is loving me like? And I just can't wait to share with you next week some things that God has imparted and is going to impart. I love how he does that. And I want to share with you all really quickly before we go how I chose to love myself this week. Literally, this week has been so drama filled for me. It's been like extremely busy. There's some things that I've had to do because, of course, we're growing always. And so as I grow and continue to live life, there are things that happen. And one of the days this week at work, it was so inundating, you guys. Oh, it was so inundating. And I really didn't have time to breathe in the day. It was like one task after the next task. And so finally, one of the things that I chose to do by loving myself was take a break. But not only just take a break, because I usually just go in the break room and then eat my lunch. But I decided to decompress. I decided to go outside and be in nature, even though it was just in the parking lot, and sit in my car and just take a moment to myself to breathe. A lot of the times we don't realize just sitting in a space of quietness and breathing is such a stress reliever that you don't have to do all of these things that some people say. Just take a moment and go out and breathe. Enjoy nature. And I love, love, love nature. So that's one of the things that I did this week to be able to show myself love. I just took a moment, an extra moment actually, not even just a moment, because I already had my break. But after my break, I said, you know what? You're going to go outside, you're going to sit in your car, and you're just going to sit. And then you're going to breathe, and you're just going to relax. I literally just laid my head back on the seat and just relaxed for probably about 2 to 3 minutes. And I promise you that shifted the whole trajectory of my day. Even though the earlier part of it was filled with stress and I was inundated, I got to a place where it was peaceful, and I was like, oh, we're halfway done with this. I'm almost done. Grooming pets can be extremely straining on your body. You're dealing with multiple personalities, not just from the pets, but from the people, and you're dealing with the phone ringing. You're dealing with other people in your environments. And for me, sometimes I just need that moment to decompress. And so I showed myself love by allowing myself to have that extra moment. I still got through the day. Dogs went home on time, but I had that extra moment so that I could get myself together. And so that's something that I want to encourage you all to do. Remember to share this message out with the world, because we are a nation who are inspiring to heal together. Hashtag I'm ready to heal. I am Kiana F. Brown, your forgiveness expert. And I want to thank you so, so very much for just taking the time to tune in with us as we continue to go on this journey. Now, I will see you guys next week.